my big plan, the big thing I want to do is like essentially make like an organization, a national organization that goes in, kind of like the DARE program and helps out with the local community, kind of finds people that I don't want to give too much away because I don't want anybody stealing the idea necessarily. I want to make sure that, it's solidified before I really start kind of putting it out there. But more or less, I want it to be something where the local community, after we've gone in with a national organization, can kind of take it from there. And it's, educating people at the grade school, high school, and collegiate level. So by the time they're adults, they're good to go, know? So, helping as much as I can with the current generation, but acknowledging that, like, I'm only going to be on this earth for so long. Like, I want to help the next generation after me. And if they're good to go, they pass that on to their kids and so forth. And hopefully it's a positive domino effect that extends both from that local community to the state, to the nation, hopefully the world, and then transcends time and continues generation to generation.
A healthy society is a happy society, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like if just imagine if we were all fit like Swedish people or something. How many less depression, less opioids getting prescribed for people. It's a domino effect.
It really is, and it's not just being fit, but also fit and well. And that can transcend to a lot of things. Not just being physically fit, but also mentally fit, emotionally fit,
right.
Spiritually fit. Having that full person. And I think the other thing that would be interesting is that much like the military, like you see all kinds of people go through the military and all walks of life, high class, low class, middle class, every kind of race. And at the end of the day, at the end of the training, everybody's the same. Everybody has mutual respect for everybody. And they, they're not only getting along, but they're doing so well together that, at least in the U.S., and you could argue, they're the most cohesive group of people that, they get their job done and they do it well.
Right.
But one of the things that makes that possible is they're going through all those hardships together. Mm-hmm. They're going through that grueling basic training. They're going through the nights where they don't sleep. They're going on those horrible runs, but they're doing it together. They're seeing somebody else go through the same thing. They can relate. They have that empathy.
Yeah.
And they're also, along the way, having that human nature come out of like, I want to help this guy and he's helping me. And so that just makes more of a bond. So, exercise is kind of in the same vein, not to the same extent, but like, if I know that you're getting up at 5 a.m. and going for a mile run, like I can relate to that. Like I've
right.
experienced it if I'm also exercising. Like people who exercise know, okay, well, they might do a little bit different training, but like some part of their day, they're going through something challenging and they're overcoming it. And so there's that equal ground that people can relate to. So, if everybody was on that playing field, it'd be something that people could relate to and say, you know what, I'm understanding of you, of things that you're going through. And I think that would, again, kind of transcend or kind of, branch out to saying, hey, like I've had times when, kind of like what we were talking about, we both ended up getting a mattress off the street, and like, so like you saying that, like, I've experienced something similar. So like I can relate to you on that. So I think in the end, that's kind of what hurts a lot of people is like, they don't find that middle ground where they can relate on something. And then when you can't relate, you see somebody else is different than you when we're really pretty similar. We have different stories, different backgrounds, different experiences, but we're all very similar. And so, I think that would be something that would really help out, kind of like a community aspect, is knowing that other people are doing something similar to you. And at the very least, you had that ground to stand on to say, hey, I know what you've been through and you can start from there. And that branches out to like, hey, like I said, I understand finances or I understand relationships or like you're just much more willing to be open and understanding rather than being closed-minded and saying you're different than me and kind of, like the other stuff going on in society where I feel like people are kind of, there's that distance, that separation.
Right. It's not like a lot of community pride, or like for instance, I don't hang out with my neighbors. Like I don't really know most of my neighbors. There's not like block parties or anything. Or, like I do wonder. I wonder sometimes, like when they say like, I don't know, like the 50s where everyone knew each other, the neighbors and all that. Like what could we do today to kind of to make something like that happen again? Because being unfamiliar with your neighbors, your community, there's a distance, and once there's a distance, there's you don't care, or
you don't care, or
like, oh, those people.
Yeah, those people, like you just don't see. Like I said, you don't see them on the same playing field, or you start taking what you do know about somebody. Maybe it's where they live, maybe it's things that you've heard, or maybe you look at them from a visual appearance and you say, oh well, this person's a certain race, or this person's a certain gender, or whatever, and you're not looking at the person as a whole. Right. And I think that's where a lot of people lose it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like there are a lot of things that weren't right about the 50s, but there are a lot of things that were. People, they'd have dinner, they'd sit down and they talk to one another like you and I are.
Yeah. They go to church together.
They go to church.
I'm not a religious dude, but I do see the sense of community that you get from you meet up with like 100 people, and you see those same 100 people or so every week, and you guys all you get familiar, you talk, you vibe on something, and I think that's important.
It's definitely. I mean, it's in our nature as humans. Like, if you were the lone wolf as a human, like you probably didn't do too well. Like, you might not have survived. Dude,
yeah, but you really can't succeed in this world on your own. Like like, no one gets through just by themselves, no help at all. Like, you have to reach out to people. You have to have relationships with people.
You got to that community aspect. You got to watch out for the other person, and you watch out for them, they'll watch out for you. And, it makes it that much easier. Life is already hard enough, is what it comes down to. Like, if somebody who's doing well, who's got a good job, good income, good health, like, it's still challenging. And then you have, people who, might be struggling financially or might be struggling health-wise. And having that compassion, that empathy to reach out and say, hey, I might not know exactly what you're going through, but I know you're a human like I am, and I want to help you.